Hey, so for today's episode, we're going to talk about how to effectively use video in your trade show booths. And we're going to learn how to really take your video and make sure you can maximize the benefit, you can repurpose it, and you can make sure that your message is properly being transmitted. Because you know what? The number one thing that we get that people call in at Optimum and they say, hey, we want a video for a trade show booth, they're missing some major things that are going to impact how their video is going to perform. You don't want to miss this episode. I promise. I'm Danny, and this is IndustrialSage.
Welcome to IndustrialSage, a free video podcast series all about digital marketing for industrial manufacturers. Hear interviews with your peers and find out how they're solving the same challenges that you might be facing in your own field. Coming to you from the Optimum Production Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is IndustrialSage.
So trade show season is here. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, and it's funny, this time of the year, it's really interesting. Over at Optimum, we get a lot of requests for doing trade show videos. So people come in, oh my gosh, we got this show in like 6 to 8 weeks. Can you make something? And inevitably, it's interesting because a lot of times people maybe come in and say, we don't do a product video or an identity video, and we want to use it in the sales process, and then we'll email it to people, and then we've got a trade show, we'll use it for that, and we're just going to reuse it all over the place. And there's a couple things, there's a couple missed opportunities, and there's a couple really important things you want to be thinking about if that's something you're going to do. So first of all, video, if you're thinking about it or you're on the fence, it's an incredibly effective tactic to be able to really generate people, like bring interest in people to your trade show. A couple of reasons why. Obviously, it's flashy, it's dynamic, there's different things going on, and you can communicate your message to people who aren't necessarily sitting there talking to a salesperson. They could be across the room, looking at your screens, and they can get some of that messaging can come across. And so there's a lot of value there. It's also engaging and it's flashy, and so naturally, if you've got things going on, something that will catch your eye because it's moving around, you naturally will kind of look over it, maybe glance at it for a second or two, hopefully a little bit longer, and that's a great opportunity there as well. So, but there's some challenges and there's some pitfalls and some things I want to challenge you on your thinking on about this. And inevitably, every single project that we do, almost every single one, they come in and it's like, hey, we want to do, it's an identity about us or this product, and it's primarily being made for the trade show, or they want it for the website, but they're going to debut it at the trade show, and they're kind of trying to do, kill two birds with one stone. Which, to be honest with you, I don't blame you. I totally do the same exact thing. But there is a big problem if you don't do it right with this. And that is, if you think about it, when you go to a trade show, if the video is not produced correctly, and let's say you do it where you've got a voiceover, you've got all these images and then somebody talking and a nice voice that's narrating everything, and then you have these pictures. Sounds great, right? Well, the challenge is when you actually get to a trade show, you know how loud and noisy those things are. Nobody can hear anything that's going on, and if they did, and it was on repeat constantly, you had a sales team and a marketing team that would be like going nuts because they're like, I'm hearing the stupid video loop for every 60 seconds. I hear the same thing over and over and over again. It'll drive nuts. So best practice really is to make sure that your video that you're going to use at a trade show is specifically designed and produced to be consumed at a trade show. What does that mean? That means do not create a video that is reliant on audio. Let me say that again. Don't make a video that you basically need to have a narrator talk, and that's how the main messaging is getting across. Because chances are people aren't going to be able to hear it, because it's going to be too loud, or you have to be too close, and you're not going to be able to get it. So if you're looking at a screen, you see all these pictures flashing across, and there's no text, there's no nothing to be able to visually tell that story. It's kind of a lost opportunity. I'm going to give you a really good example. So here's one way. Here's a really good way on how you can structure it and how you can do it, and be thinking about it this way. So we had this client that came in. It's a chemical client. Called CSI. This is a product called Nimitz. So they were going to a trade show, and same thing. They wanted to use this thing on their website and be able to get it to salespeople and put it on a landing page so they can talk about it. And then they were like, okay, we have this trade show. We're going to put it up there. But the way that it was designed is we made sure we had essentially 2 deliverables. We had one that you could listen to it and you can hear the narrator and all that stuff and you get the message, and that's great. And then we had another deliverable, another version that you get the message without having to hear it. So I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. I'm not going to play all the video, and I apologize if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or any of the audio podcast formats. You're going to need to go to IndustrialSage.com, watch this video so you can actually see the videos, because all you're going to be able to do is hear. You're not going to get that full context, so I recommend you do that. So I'm going to play this video. This was a product video, and here we go.
You spent green for a pretty green that now looks like this. You've got nematodes, and they're doing this, and that makes you feel this. Well, we've done the research, we've done the science, and we've done the testing. So it's no surprise that we're the first chemical nematicide to get federal registration in nearly 20 years. So it's time to get green. Forget gassing.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here. So you get the idea. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you can hear the narrator, you can hear what's going on. Imagine if you watch the video and I'm playing it and I kill the audio. I mean, I'm playing a video right now, so if you're listening, what do you get? What are you getting out of this? Okay, maybe fertilizer, I don't know. Not really sure what's going on because there's nothing to be able to put it in context. So what we did is basically took the same exact thing and we created a different version with text, and I'll play this one for you. So you get it. There's text on the screen that's emphasizing what the narrator is saying. So it's a very simple thing to do, and there's a lot of different formats, a lot of different ways you can do it, and you could have a totally different video. But this was a way to be able to really help to convey that message so that somebody who you can't hear it can be watching it, and you get the message. And you say, okay, now I understand why there's a cartoon guy that is taking the golf club and swinging it and making this giant hole. You have that context. So that's one simple thing you need to look at when you're doing that. Some other interesting things is on how to really use video inside your trade show booth. We actually had one client, I want to share this really interesting story. Their trade show booth, the part of having a good trade show booth is being able to really attract people and bring them into your website, or not to your website, into your booth area, so you can talk to them about your services and your solutions and all that good stuff. These guys had a really interesting idea where they said, our trade show booth is going to be your video. So we want you guys to make a video, and that's all our booth is going to be. It's going to be one giant video screen, double-sided. So I will show you. This is their trade show booth right here. I'll have to zoom in. We should have got a little bit better picture. This thing was huge. It's kind of hard without having somebody there. Like literally, if people are standing, the tops of their heads were coming to right about here. I don't know if you can see my cursor on here. So if you're listening, it's literally this giant trade show booth that's made of, what is this, 9 screens? 1, 2, 3, 12 screens. 4 times 3, 12 screens. So it's like this giant square. I think these were like 50-inch screen TVs all put together to have one gigantic image, and this video played. And that was a way of being able to communicate their message. We wanted to make sure that they got it across, and it was like, okay, yeah, this is what we do. And it was very flashy, and it was very effective. I could show you real quick just for funsies what that looked like if I have it up.
If your storage and distribution solutions aren't perfect, your customers can't get their purchases in time. When a hackneyed solution from 10 different logistics and storage companies fails from lack of compatibility, your delivery guarantees get delayed. When your distribution slows because of inefficient design and the inability to reconfigure to accommodate growth, your promises to your customers get broken. When it comes to running your business, you could cheapen your distribution backbone, or you can partner with one company who will ensure your infrastructure meets current and future demands. Elite Storage Solutions. Our turnkey approach to your storage and distribution needs.
Actually, that one was really cool. We got to fly drones through Bed Bath & Beyond's 800,000 square foot distribution facility. So through all the conveyor belts and all the automation stuff, and do all kinds of really cool things. It was awesome. Really, really, really engaging, especially on a giant screen like that. It looked super cool. And so it drew a lot of people in, like, wow, that's really neat. I mean, at a minimum, I mean, you could be halfway across the darn hall and see it and be like, wow, okay. So that was pretty neat. And kind of on that note, as far as video, there's a lot of opportunity. Instead of creating a video that is necessarily like your normal 16 by 9, and by 16 by 9 I mean widescreen. So you look at this TV over here, your traditional TV like you would have at your house. It's rectangular, right? Well, this isn't the only way that you can display a video. And you're starting to see that. You see that at trade shows where they've got really unique, different video displays. So like what Elite did, and they made that giant square. That's one thing. I found this other little thing that I thought was interesting online. On my screen here is basically this is a video display. So kind of the same thing. Instead of taking all these screens and having them all in a rectangular format, it's just this different look. So it's kind of a different way on how to produce it, but it just creates a little bit more of a dynamic feel. And it's really cool when you see that implemented in trade show booths and different things where instead of, again, it's just not that traditional feel. So it's engaging and it's captivating. It's like, wow, that's pretty interesting. That's different. There's a lot of really cool technologies out there now that are allowing you to be able to do that. There's, if you ever check out this manufacturer, they're in Georgia. They're called Nanolumens. And they do a really, really cool, they have a really cool product where it's like this flexible LED material where you can take it and bend it, and you can literally shape it around a column or put it around the desk and really have this really kind of crazy cool like contouring and it doesn't mess up the video. So the video will play, around a column and different things like that. So it really is kind of opening up the capabilities to be able to have media that's different and you can consume it in a different way. And that's going to be important because, at a trade show, you really want to make sure you stand out. And so if everyone else has screens like this, this big rectangular screen, maybe one or two or a couple, and they've got somebody else that's got video that's literally up on the side of a wall wrapped around a column or something, that's a lot more engaging and you can have some fun with it. We have, I'll show you this one client, they did something similar where, this looks kind of weird. This is the way this looked on the actual floor was basically like two big TV screens, but sideways, standing on top of each other. So, it was like this screen was like all the way up to here, down to the floor. And so we designed it this way, and I'll show you, what it looked like. And it was basically just this roll of content going. They had some testimonials in there, and they had some text. So you get an understanding of like what was going on there, and you get some footage in there. So it's just a different, unique way of being able to transmit it. And it's a different feel. It's a little bit more higher level. It's not your traditional viewing experience in here. And it's almost like you can walk up to this thing and have, not a conversation, but if it's at your eye level, it's just that different perspective. So I want to share that with you. And then let me see. Oh, there's another thing. This is kind of cool. This is kind of more of a, this was used for the opening for a large trade show or a large conference. And so, again, this goes to the point of having like not your traditionally displayed video. This was literally a giant screen that was huge, and people were standing up to it. I mean, they were, maybe they were like this tall, and that's it. And this whole screen was like 40 feet long, and then they had these even two side screens, and it just really created this whole immersive experience that was like, wow. And that's one of the really cool things about video is that, between the sight and the sound, you can really create these moments of wow and really evoke an emotion. And that's, such a huge and critical thing is that if you can evoke an emotion, you can have a connection, and it really, what it does is it triggers a memory so that, when somebody leaves later, they're like, yeah, I remember I saw this thing, and that was really cool. And that's huge. That's how you really create brand. That's how you create a lasting impression, and that's really what you want to make sure you're doing with your content, video in particular. So I'll just play this quick thing, a couple snippets for you. It's kind of fun. So you can kind of see how it was like stretched across, all the screens, and we had some fun effects in there. We actually had some like animation stuff over here. We like animated this welder mask. We kind of stylized it like Star Trek, if the new Star Trek, if you're familiar. So, anyways, we're kind of geeky like that. But yeah, it was pretty neat that you were able to to display it like this and kind of have that experience. And then the last thing, this is kind of cool, is just this is another example of creating a video that is specific for a trade show. Again, we got all this text and stuff going on here. You can go take it full screen if you want. Oops. So anyways, there you go. This is fun. This is for pest control. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, so that's kind of my tips on what I wanted to share today, just as far as like thinking about video with trade shows. Like there's a lot of other opportunities that you might not have thought about that you can do. And look, again, the name of the game is be able to differentiate, create a different experience and be able to differentiate, especially at a trade show. And maybe think about these different ways of being able to take your video and be able to do different things with it. And maybe explore how part of your trade show booth could actually be designed around that and have a little bit of a different experience. But again, if you're going to be doing a video and you're like, hey, we're going to use it for all the different things, make sure that you're creating a different deliverable, a different version for it, so that you can have really the max benefit, so that somebody can watch your video and not have to listen to it and they get the message. It's going to be really valuable for it. And then you can repurpose that. And it's not like you're just spending the money just for that. You have the other version that has the narrator, and you can use that in your sales process. Take those videos and send them to all your leads that you met. It's a great follow-up. You know what? I'll do you one even better. Do that and have some analytics behind it, so you can see like who watched it and how much of the video they watched. You can learn a tremendous amount from your audience from that. So, anyways, I hope this is valuable for you today. Listen, we love doing this all the time. If there's any particular questions that we could answer for you, it's something you're saying, hey, we've got this challenge, we're trying to figure this out or that, let us know. We'd love to answer it for you. Maybe create an episode. We've done that several times. You can reach out to us and send us your question at IndustrialSage.com/questions. If you're listening on iTunes or podcasts or any of those, we love a rating. Sorry about this episode. You had to kind of like watch it because we're talking about video, but just come and check it out. And last but not least, if you're not on our email list and you need to get on it, I highly recommend it. We've got all kinds of great content. We've got a lot of bonus content that we're putting out that you're not hearing on the podcast. So get on there so we can send you some of this great information, so we can continue to really learn best practices, get some great other interviews in here to learn about, what they're doing. We've got some awesome people lined up coming up here in the next few weeks. We have some CMO types that are coming in from some very large companies that you've heard of, and they're going to be sharing about what they're doing in their organizations, really why it's so important and why this is the year to transition over, and that digital aspect from the sales and marketing. And it's a really exciting time to be part of the manufacturing, sales, and marketing community. So we're going to keep dialing it up here at Industrial Sage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.